I've never really got on with gimbals. They're really heavy, I hate balancing them, and I just prefer the handheld look overall. I only bought my DJI RS3 Mini because of its size and weight and how compact it was, but it does have some really annoying flaws. So when DJI released the RS4 Mini, I was pretty hesitant to buy it, but there's a few design choices on this gimbal that I genuinely think have solved all of my problems. And no, it's not the brand new AI intelligent tracking module. I wasn't bothered about this at all when I first saw it. I actually thought it was going to be like a little bit of a gimmick and similar to DJI Pocket 3 tracking on there, but after testing it earlier, I must say I am completely wrong. The features that I actually am on about are ones taken directly from the DJI RS4 and the DJI RS4 Pro. The best feature about the DJI RS4 gimbals is the auto locks, and these are now on the DJI RS4 Mini. You don't know how good of a feature this is until you've used it, and after using the auto locks on the DJI RS3 Pro at my job week in, week out, and then coming home to use my DJI RS3 Mini with manual locks, you soon start to realize how annoying it is constantly unlocking the locks manually all the time. It's a massive time saver when you're out on a shoot, going from handheld to gimbal and vice versa. The gimbal is ready to shoot instantly. You don't even need to calibrate it. Just press the on-off button once and you're ready to go. And if you actually want to turn off the gimbal, it auto locks into its compact mode, so it's great for saving the battery and for traveling. And if you just press the on-off button again, it goes back into the exact same position as you had last time. No need to rebalance, all you have to do is recalibrate it. Another feature that I think is a huge upgrade is the motors and the way you actually balance the gimbal. Of course, the stabilization is better. They always upgrade the smoothness of their gimbals, which is obviously nice. But what I like about it is that it can pack down fully like this without having to rebalance the gimbal. So in theory, you can balance your camera and lens at home before your shoot, pack down your gimbal to this travel size, and then when you actually arrive at your shoot, your gimbal is already balanced and ready to go. So you don't have to waste any time on set messing around with the gimbal. So if you're against the clock, this is a quality feature to have. But let's say mid-shoot you need to rebalance the gimbal for another lens. Well, with the improved Teflon interlayers that's taken straight from the flagship DJI RS4 and that new fine-tuning knob, it's a lot easier to balance because it actually reduces friction for smoother balancing. And that is the one thing that I hated on the DJI RS3 Mini, because it was so stiff and awkward to balance. And because you couldn't pack it down like this without ruining the balance of the gimbal, you had to rebalance it every single time you wanted to travel compact with that gimbal. Another big feature on the DJI RS4 Mini for me is the physical mode buttons on the side of the gimbal. So you've got pan, tilt forward, pan forward, and then FPV mode, just like every other gimbal out there. This is taken directly from the DJI RS4 and it just makes things so much quicker. On my DJI RS3 Mini, the only way to access these modes was to go through the touchscreen. So you have to touch the top left button to access the modes. Then to change mode, you have to swipe either left or right to go to any of the three modes. The one thing about it is you had to come out of it to confirm it, because if you stayed in that mode, sometimes you could swipe the screen by accident and change your mode mid-shot, which is obviously not good for anyone. And if you've ever been on a shoot before, you know time is not on your side, so you need to access these modes very quickly. And the great thing about the physical mode buttons is that it's right where your thumb is. And because it's so easy, up is pan tilt forward, middle is pan forward, and then the bottom is FPV. You just know it like second nature. So when you are doing a mid-shot, if you need to quickly change the pan tilt forward, you just go up. If you need to go back to the middle, you just go down. It literally takes not even half a second. Sometimes the touchscreen doesn't always register your swipes or your clicks, which adds even more time on as well. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but like I said, if you've ever been on a shoot and you don't have a lot of time, you know that the physical mode buttons are really going to help because they are so fast. So those are some of the main reasons why I thought the DJI RS4 Mini was a worthy upgrade, but it could offer so much more. It is coming in at 40 grams heavier than the DJI RS3 Mini, which is coming in at about 890 grams, but that's why I love these gimbals so much, because they just weigh so much less than the flagship RS4 or RS4 Pro gimbals. And it can also handle a very good payload of 2 kg, which could easily handle a 24-70 f2.8 on a full frame mirrorless camera body, which is amazing if you are a content creator with just a mirrorless camera, because that means it can also handle pretty much any prime lens, 24, 35, 50, 85, it will be able to handle that fine. My main setup at the minute is the Sigma 18-35 f1.8 on the Canon EOS R7, and that's at its maximum payload because I have the EF to RF adapter, but it does fit it perfectly and it works, and it's so smooth. So with the DJI RS4 Mini coming in at one of its lightest gimbals, acquiring some of the best features from the flagship DJI RS4 Pro, and it coming in at its cheapest gimbal at around £419 for the combo, I don't think there's any reason to get the flagship gimbals, because I think this is DJI's best gimbal that they do make. Unless you do have something like a Canon C80, an FX6 or a red camera, and it is heavier than 2 kg and you need to balance a heavier payload, then yes, go for the flagship ones. But if you are a content creator with just a mirrorless camera, this is the perfect gimbal for you, and there's no reason to get the other ones. They're just too heavy, they're too bulky, and this is the perfect size for so many people out there. And we haven't even spoke about the coolest feature of the DJI RS4 Pro yet, and that is the AI tracking intelligent module, which I have been using to film this entire section of this video. So what do you guys think? Does it look gimmicky? Does it look weird? I actually think it's very, very cool, and I do see myself using this a lot more. Even though I don't probably recommend this, but it is also pretty good to vlog with as well. Like, using the active track, I don't really have to worry about framing on the gimbal, and it is pretty super smooth as well. It's kind of like vlogging with the DJI Pocket 3, and yeah, you know what, it is actually pretty cool. However, it is very heavy to vlog with, and I personally wouldn't, rather use the DJI Pocket, but it is nice getting a real nice like look from your mirrorless camera for vlogging, and always being center framed as well. You attach it by simply dropping it on top of the gimbal, and it magnetizes on and auto connects. There's two ways you can actually use this feature, and the first way is by simply having someone in the frame and then pressing the button below the wheel on the back of the gimbal. This will turn the light on the tracking module from red to green, activating the active track. And now the gimbal will just follow that person no matter what you do. So this is a brilliant feature if you really need to concentrate on where you're walking or running, so you don't trip over, because the gimbal will always keep the person in the frame at all times. And the part that actually made me think, wait a minute, this is actually pretty cool and not so much of a gimmick, and that is in the composition settings. You have two options on this: center tracking subject, which simply puts the person dead center of the frame, which is how the tracking works on the DJI Pocket 3. And I'm actually not the biggest fan of that, to be honest, because it puts the person's head in the center of the frame, giving him way too much headroom rather than like an actual nice composition. And I don't think it looks that very good at all. And that's why initially I wasn't that bothered about this tracking module, because I thought it was literally going to take that tracking feature from the Pocket 3 and just put it on the RS4 Mini. But on the DJI RS4 Mini, there's another option of keep current framing, which is so much better because you can actually set up the frame how you like it. And now when you actually do press the button below the wheel to activate active track, it will actually keep that person in that framing rather than just putting them dead center like on the DJI Pocket 3. And this makes this feature way more usable now, because when you are on a shoot, you can actually keep good framing that you actually want to have, rather than just keeping them dead center. And I can actually see myself using this from time to time, especially on the second way you can use this, and that's as a solo creator. So for example, if you're on your own like I was earlier in my garden, you can actually connect the RS4 Mini to your mirrorless camera using Bluetooth. And now you can actually use gesture commands to control the camera and the gimbal. So as you can see from the clip earlier, I actually give the camera a high five, and the tracking module actually saw that, and then when it recognized the gesture, it will turn from red to green, just like pressing the button on the back of the gimbal, and then it will start tracking me. And I can also give it a peace sign to the gimbal, and the tracking module will see that peace sign, and then it will tell the camera to start recording through Bluetooth, which is just absolutely mental. It's also not as jerky as and unnatural as I thought it would have been. It's actually quite smooth, and it's like someone's actually operating me behind the camera. You can actually see where it does joint on, and it's a little bit jerky sometimes when I'm not stopping, moving from right to left. You can see it stop, then start again. But if I'm in one continuous movement, you can actually see that it's quite smooth, and it's definitely usable, and it does actually look like someone's tracking me on a gimbal or on a tripod. I've actually put a quick release plate on the bottom of the gimbal so I can hot swap quickly between the gimbal tripod and then also my big tripod, and then I can start utilizing them cool active track settings when I actually am out on a shoot filming myself, which is really, really cool. You can also set the speed of the active track from slow, medium and fast, and I tested this earlier. Slow is a really slow movement, but if you're walking quite quickly, it can actually leave you behind a little bit. So I actually changed it to medium, and it actually kind of caught up with me and still kept me in the framing that I wanted. And then also, if you're tracking like a fast moving person as well, like if they're running, for example, you might want to change this to fast, because if they do run out of frame, it will quickly track back to the subject no matter where it runs. There is a USB-C cable on the back of it as well, and I actually think this could be, I don't think it's for charging because I think the gimbal powers it. It could be just for using it for the DJI RS4 and the RS4 Pro, because you can get an adapter to put onto them to use this tracking module on them gimbals as well, I think. I can actually really see myself benefiting from this in my YouTube videos, and I'm really excited to use it more. However, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but while I've actually been saying about the tracking subject, I've actually been saying tracking people and not a subject, and that's because it can only track people and not cars or animals, which is really disappointing because this tracking module is literally perfect for that, and I'm really hopeful it does get added in a firmware update in the future. Also in the box, it comes with this briefcase handle, which actually makes it really easy to get low angle shots without hurting your back. And it's also just nice to have like a second point of contact on the gimbal rather than holding the bottom of the tripod to help you back out even more. It also has a cold shoe screw on the left, which is really handy, which my old smaller one didn't. And it also has a screw mount to mount something else to. And on the top, it has another screw mount and also another cold shoe for like a monitor or a microphone. Also, what do you actually think of the color of this gimbal anyway? I'm not sure why they didn't go back to black again, because I actually like it. It's just more discreet and it matches with the camera, but it is actually growing on me. I'm actually kind of liking it the more and more I use it. The battery life is also stated to last up to 13 hours on a single charge. And even though it doesn't have a removable battery like the DJI RS4, it does support quick charging. So you can actually get 5 hours of shooting time after 30 minutes of charging using a 30-watt charger, and also 1 hour and 50 minutes to get back to fully charged, which is just really, really quick. However though, one really bizarre design choice is actually having the charging point on the left of the camera, because when this briefcase handle is actually attached, you can't plug it in. So you have to take this off every time, which is obviously I'm gonna take it off probably majority of the time anyway to travel with, but I just find it very weird how they've put it there and you can't access it unless you've got some real specialized cable, because on the RS3 Mini, it was on the right-hand side. So yeah, I just find that a little bit bizarre, if I'm being honest. Like I said earlier, I do have that wedding next week, so I'm really gonna put this gimbal to the tests and really see what it's capable of. But if I'm being honest, I don't really need to use it that much because it's just gonna be like my RS3 Mini, which is absolutely amazing. It's improved on that in every single way. This is an absolute massive upgrade and one that I just couldn't pass on, especially because I did get it at 20% off as well. So what do you think overall? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you did enjoy, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.